Bruce Lee was tested, "Can you beat me in 10 seconds?" by Tyson. His speed left Mike without AC. Bruce Lee vs. Mike Tyson, the fight that never happened, final part. The gym was silent except for the sound of Mike Tyson's rapid breathing. He had accepted Bruce Lee's challenge with a confident smile, certain that his devastating punches would settle the matter in seconds. But now, standing in the center of the mat, his fists still raised in guard, Tyson felt something he rarely experienced: doubt. Bruce Lee was no longer in front of him. Where was he? A flicker of movement to his left. Tyson spun around, but only saw the air shimmer. A sharp blow hit his side, making him stagger. Before he could react, a roundhouse kick passed close to his chin, so fast that he barely felt the wind. Another punch, this time to the stomach, bent him in half. He tried to counterattack, but his fists only met emptiness. How? Tyson grunted, trying to compose himself. Bruce Lee appeared in front of him again, motionless, as if he had never moved. His eyes, however, shone with a calculated intensity. "Speed isn't just moving fast," Mike Lee said, his voice calm, almost a whisper. "It's being where the opponent doesn't expect it. It's about anticipating, not reacting." Tyson growled and lunged with a left hook, the blow that had knocked out dozens of opponents. Bruce dodged with a minimal, almost imperceptible movement, and counterattacked with a sequence of 3 punches to Tyson's solar plexus. The heavyweight champion felt the air leave his lungs. He staggered, but remained standing, his eyes burning with fury. "You're strong," Bruce admitted, taking a step back. "But strength without precision is like a hammer without a target." Tyson spat blood on the mat and went at it again, this time with a wild combination. Bruce dodged each blow with fluid movements, like water slipping between his fingers. Then, in an instant, he counterattacked, a side kick connected with Tyson's knee, causing him to double over. A punch to the chin sent him spinning. And before he could recover, a precise blow to the temple knocked him down. Tyson fell to his knees, stunned. The world was spinning. He tried to get up, but his legs wouldn't respond. Bruce Lee walked over and crouched beside him, not with triumph, but with respect. 10 seconds, he said softly. You lasted 9. Tyson laughed, a hoarse, tired laugh. I never thought someone could hit me like that. He looked up, still dazed. You're so fucking fast, Bruce. Bruce offered his hand. Tyson hesitated, but accepted. When he stood up, staggering, the two men stared at each other for a long moment. That was a test, Bruce said. Now you know what it's like to face someone who doesn't fight with strength, but with their mind. Tyson nodded, rubbing his sore chin. And now? Bruce smiled. Now you train. Because the next time someone challenges you, you don't want to last just 9 seconds. And with that, Bruce Lee turned and walked towards the exit of the gym, leaving Tyson alone on the mat, with a lesson that he would carry with him for the rest of his life. Outside the building, the California sun shone brightly. Bruce adjusted his coat and took a deep breath. There was nothing left to prove. The fight was over. And, as always, the real victory was not in defeating an opponent, but in making him surpass himself. He smiled to himself and moved on, ready for the next challenge. Final chapter, Legacy of the Dragon. The following months transformed Tyson. Bruce Lee's punch had not just been a physical blow, but an awakening. He abandoned his ring arrogance and immersed himself in training with a discipline he had never had before. He no longer sought to win through brute force, but through precision, through strategy, through art. The gym became his temple. Long days of repetition, of studying moves until they became instinctive, of learning to read your opponent before he even moved. Bruce, although he was no longer present, had left something greater than a lesson, a philosophy. And Tyson hugged her. But the world didn't stop. An invitation arrived, an underground tournament in Las Vegas, where fighters of different styles faced each other without rules, without limits. The prize? Enough money to change a life. Or destroy it. Tyson knew it was a trap, a circus of violence where men broke each other for entertainment. But he also knew it was his chance to prove that he had evolved. On the day of the fight, the air was charged with tension. His opponent, a former MMA champion named Viktor the Hammer Petrov, was a mountain of muscle and scars. The crowd screamed, bets were made, and Tyson felt the weight of the stares. But there was no fear. Just clarity. When the gong sounded, Petrov charged like a bull, arms swinging in broad strokes. Tyson moved like water, dodging, counterattacking with surgical precision. Every movement was calculated, every breath controlled. Petrov tried to grab him, but Tyson escaped with a feint, responding with a spinning kick that hit the Russian in the ribs. The audience roared. But Petrov was not a man who went down easily. He recovered and charged forward with renewed fury. Tyson felt the impact of a punch to the shoulder, but turned his body, using the force of the blow against his own opponent. A knee to the stomach. An elbow to the chin. Petrov staggered but did not fall. It was then that Tyson saw the opening, a mistaken guard, a second of hesitation. He didn't think. Just acted. A front kick, quick as lightning, hit Petrov's solar plexus. The big man gasped, eyes wide, and collapsed to the ground like a felled tree. The referee started the count, but everyone knew it was unnecessary. Silence. Then, the explosion. The crowd went crazy. Tyson raised his arms, not in triumph, but in respect. He took a deep breath and looked up at the ring lights, feeling something that wasn't just victory, it was understanding. He had won. But not like before. Years later, Tyson opened his own martial arts school in Los Angeles. He didn't just teach techniques, but a way of living. His students called him sensei, and many came from far and wide to learn from the man who had once been defeated by Bruce Lee. One afternoon, while watching a young student practice a kicking sequence, a familiar figure entered the dojo. Bruce Lee, now older, but with the same sparkle in his eyes, stopped at the door. "Do you still train?" Tyson asked, smiling. Bruce laughed. "Always." "And you?" "Every day." They stared at each other for a moment, two men who had learned that the real fight was never over. Then Bruce nodded, satisfied. "Good," he said, turning to leave. "Because the world needs more people who know how to fight. But it needs even more people who know how to think." And with that, the dragon was gone, leaving behind not just a student, but a legacy. Tyson returned to training, knowing the journey was never over. It just changed shape. The weight of legend. The years passed, and Tyson's dojo grew. Not in fame, but in purpose. He had transformed the space into something beyond a training site. It was a refuge for those seeking discipline, not just for the body, but for the mind. The students arrived broken, frustrated former athletes, war veterans with invisible scars, young people lost in search of something they couldn't even name. Tyson welcomed them without judgment, teaching them that true strength came from within. But the world was not kind to those who defied its expectations. One day, a man named Victor Kane entered the dojo. Tall, with a face marked by a scar that ran from his temple to his jaw, he wore an expensive suit and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He owned a chain of fighting gyms, famous for transforming fighters into profit machines. And he had a special interest in Tyson. "I've heard a lot about you," Kane said, surveying the space with disdain. "A small place, but with soul. This is rare nowadays." Tyson crossed his arms. "What do you want?" "A partnership." Kane took a contract out of his pocket. "My fighters need a coach with his track record. Someone who understands what it means to be a champion. In return, you will have resources, sponsorships, a global platform." Tyson didn't touch the paper. "And what would I have to do?" "Nothing you don't already do." Kane shrugged. "Only on a larger scale. More fighters, more money, more influence." "What if I say no?" Kane's smile widened. but his eyes remained cold. Then you'll discover that the world doesn't like those who get in the way. Tyson didn't respond. He knew a threat when he heard one. The first wave. The following week, two of his most promising students were approached by Kane's scouts. One of them, a former soldier named Marcus, resisted. The other, a young man named Jiro, hesitated. Tyson called him in for a private conversation. "Do you want to go?" he asked, directly. Jiro lowered his eyes. "They offered money. A lot of money. My mother is sick, sir. The medicines." Tyson sighed. "I knew I couldn't compete with that. If you go, don't come back." Jiro's eyes widened. "What? If you choose easy money, you are no longer my student." Tyson pointed to the door. "Because here we don't teach how to fight for convenience. We teach how to fight for something bigger." Jiro left, but not before giving one last guilty look. The betrayal. Over the next month, Tyson started noticing strange things. His dojo was vandalized twice. Former students received anonymous threats. And then, one rainy night, while closing the place, a car stopped in the street. Four men came out, all with the same symbol tattooed on their necks, a serpent wrapped around a sword. They didn't say anything. They just advanced. Tyson didn't back down. Years of training had prepared him for this. The first man fell with a roundhouse kick to the knee. The second tried a punch, but Tyson dodged and knocked him down with an elbow to the ribs. The third pulled out a knife, but before he could attack, a voice echoed in the darkness. "He arrives." Victor Kane got out of the car, slowly applauding. "Impressive. But you can't beat them all, Tyson." "I don't need to beat everyone," Tyson replied, breathing hard. "I just need to beat you." Kane laughed. "That's what we'll see." The last lesson. The final confrontation took place in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Kane wouldn't fight alone. He brought Jiro, now trained in his brutal techniques, and half a dozen other fighters. Tyson arrived alone. "Do you still think you can beat me?" Kane asked, as his men got into position. "I'm not here to win," Tyson said. "I'm here to end this." The fight was quick and brutal. Tyson did not fight with the cold precision of his champion days, but with a controlled fury, as if each blow carried the weight of all the injustices he had witnessed. Jiro fell first, not because of a lack of skill, but because he hesitated. The others followed, one by one, until only Tyson and Kane were left. "You're no better than me," Kane growled, bleeding from the mouth. "He was just luckier." "It's not luck," Tyson said, holding him by the collar. "It's a choice. You chose money. I chose people." He released him, letting Kane fall to the ground. "This isn't over," Kane spat. "It's over," Tyson said. "Because now everyone knows who you are." The legacy. In the following months, Kane's gyms were investigated for fraud and exploitation. Jiro returned, embarrassed, but Tyson took him back. After all, everyone deserved a second chance. The dojo remained standing, stronger than ever. Years later, when Tyson already had gray hair and his joints hurt, a young man entered the dojo. He was thin, with determined eyes, and carried a battered backpack. "I want to learn to fight," he said. "Not for money. Not for fame. Just for me." Tyson smiled. "That's how it started." "Then take off your shoes," he said. "And let's begin."